Can you eat something that makes less noise, Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that most unhealthy food makes noise.
How about you try eating something healthy then?
Well, again, I'm sorry, but most of the food that one typically finds in the workplace happens to be unhealthy.
Do you have to eat anything, Brian?
Listen, ladies. Personally, I think you ought to be thanking me, for gaining 25 pounds for a new project, to sensationally generate news.
Actually, it's not a sensational situation for a scriptwriter to gain 25 pounds when starting a new project, Brian. Unless, of course, you and Scott have another plan.
Okay. Well, I think we should definitely be worried about more than just the 45 decibel chip sound. Okay? You know why? Huh? You know why? You want to know why? Because we don't have a project!
Especially after the my presentation on the post-apocalyptic penguin story, Harry needs to come in with a good one. And he's already 25 minutes late.
Yep, and the only thing that's worse than Harry being 25 minutes late is, the fact that Scott's going to be here any second.
Scott's coming here?
All right, guys. Well, I can't wait to hear that crazy, inspirational, and mind-blowing project you've been cooking up. Especially after that post-apocalyptic penguin disaster.
Well, it will be here soon, Scott.
I've been paying you guys for a month to come up with a good story. You just expected to walk into the room?
Well, it's gonna walk in with Harry.
Oh, no problem. No, I completely respect the fact that you guys gave Harry the opportunity to seal your fate.
What do you mean?
Let me put it this way. If we can't move from this brilliant idea to the next step, I will cut your budget. But I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure Harry's got a pretty good idea of what to do next.
Hey guys. Oh.
We were just discussing your amazing idea.
Amazing idea. But I haven't told you guys anything yet.
But we know it's gonna be great because...
Yeah, it'd be great if it was awesome, dude.
Our story is about a dictator who stages a coup against himself. We're screwed.
A dictator staging a coup against himself.
Think of it as a political masochism. Stage a coup against me? Stage a coup against me?
I told you we weren't going to make a comedy, right? You all know I hate cheap trash comedy.
This isn't a comedy, Scott. This is a story about a character who based his entire political career on victimization. After spending 2 months in prison, he decides to become a local politician, and he decides to get 50% of the elections. He goes on TV, cries, ratings are high, he gets belittled by foreign dignitaries and politicians, and then lastly, people get emotional at rallies. Then, all of a sudden, his name is mentioned in a $1 million corruption scandal, and he tries to change the system from within.
What happens after he stages a coup against himself? What, does he try to annex Canada?
Viewers always like when people rise from victimization, Scott.
With victimization and rising after victimization are two different things, honey.
Hey, Scott. I think you should set aside your biases and listen to the story. Our people always love politically intriguing movies, and there is a rising trend on the topic.
Look, guys, the only reason I'm listening to this is because we go way back. And even if this were a good story, which I think it's not, but even if it were, we don't have the budget to make a movie based on a coup, okay? We talked about this in our first meeting.
Listen, Scott, you know the best thing about working with this team is that we're a producer-friendly team, okay? And not only that, here's the good news. This movie's gonna be less than your last 12 Mad Men movies. So this movie, and this movie only, is the only movie to do with a lower budget coming out this summer.
I don't think the story you found is an experimental coup story, but whatever, continue.
Coup against yourself, Scott. That's the key phrase here. Coup against yourself.
It's just...
Our character comes from a very low class, a poor neighborhood, goes to church regularly, a Catholic.
Someone from amongst the people.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're not talking about the president. I can't deal with any more real political problems at the moment.
He starts his political career as a mayor. He's a champion of the people, helps small businesses. But then he gains a massive amount of money.
Just at that moment, he probably gains wealth.
A massive amounts of wealth. And then his political career increases.
And he's always the victim, right? He's always crying and whining and whinging. In fact, I can't even imagine the box office success in Brazil.
I hate this character already.
Exactly. And because of this hatred, they form a hatred coalition called the Hate Club. Together, they come under a roof of hatred, and they grow like a snowball.
But fear is always beside him.
He's always afraid that the people who hate the hate club are gonna, come together and go against him.
Yes, and instead of living in this fear, he makes the biggest victimization move of all, staging a coup against himself.
I'm sorry. When you hear the phrase "coup against yourself," you just have to laugh, right?
Look, this may not sound like an instant classic, but I think it's worth listening to. Continue.
It's a summer's day, just when primetime news is about to start. All of a sudden, the Brooklyn Bridge is stopped by traffic by a bunch of soldiers.
And for us to see this, should only cost us $1.5 million.
We're just gonna put 2 tanks on one side of the bridge and put like 20 extra soldiers on the other, all right? Don't overestimate things, Scott. You're always thinking of the bigger picture.
Before we move on, I have a little bit of a problem with the whole primetime thing. As far as I'm concerned, coups usually happen at night or more toward morning.
This is show business. He needs to show the people there's a coup, and primetime is the best time for this.
Touche.
Harry, are you sure that 2 tanks and 20 extras are enough to make it look like a coup? And only one side of the bridge?
They don't want to take up traffic, Scott. Do you know what this coup would do if it's stuck in traffic?
Yeah, in fact, my grandmother always said that a hungry person that's caught in traffic could be capable of almost anything.
Oh, there was no such thing as traffic in your grandmother's time, Brian. Your wagon.
Then the TV network is raided, and the newsmen read the coup manifesto.
What about the others?
The others are starting their other broadcasts.
I think we need to work on this part. It does not seem realistic enough.
Everyone should be able to watch this live, Judith, from all channels. Live from the Brooklyn Bridge. Chaos ensues. A militia is gathering.
But how are people who are watching it live going to help? I mean, is it any different than watching a movie?
Look, it's not just going to be about watching the coup live. Our dictator will draw and rally people into the streets.
Wait, is he going to go on live TV when everybody's out looking for him?
Actually, he's going to use FaceTime.
I just want to intervene. Is it not going to look really weird? I mean, an anchorman holding a phone in his hand with the president on FaceTime? The camera angle would be terrible and his face would be all jumbled up.
Yeah, and where exactly is the president during this whole FaceTime thing?
He's on Air Force One. The special forces raid his hotel before he gives them the slip.
The special forces can't find him in the hotel?
They're running a little late. See, the special forces, before the president gives them the slip, can't find the address to the hotel, so they ask a cab driver for directions.
That's pretty good. I like that, okay? The special forces asking a cab driver for directions. I mean, that's gonna be like a cult moment in action movies. Come on.
Okay, I'm confused. What's the president actually doing on FaceTime?
He's calling people to the streets on FaceTime. He's rallying the people together in order to jump in front of the tanks and start stuffing t-shirts into their exhaust pipes.
To the civilian population?
I'm sorry, stuffing t-shirts in the exhaust pipe of what, the tanks?
Okay. I think what you're trying to do here is forge a loyal backbone. But Harry, have you ever seen a tank's exhaust pipe?
Never seen one.
That's because you can't. It's always guarded by soldiers. Believe me, if it were like that, there wouldn't be such huge budgets in the defense industry for anti-tank weapons.
Scott, for the sake of the story, people need to feel like they accomplished something.
I understand that. But I don't think we can accomplish that just by shoving t-shirts up tank exhaust pipes. Okay, well, what's next? Are they going to start throwing rocks at F-16s?
What else is happening?
At this point, the municipal trucks block the traffic, cutting the Coup's attendance to only 1%.
I'm gonna get coffee. Does anybody want anything?
There's a gap in the story. You said that participation to the coup is at 1%, but the amount of dissidents is more than that. What are you going to do about that?
Like this. The list of dissidents will already be prepared beforehand, so no one's really going to question anything.
Okay, but listen to this. What if someone's a journalist and also part of the opposition? I mean, how are they going to arrest them and proceed on a legal basis?
There's an anecdote about this, and you're really going to love it. You see, one day, the lion and the fox were hanging out in the woods, bored, and they decided to beat up the rabbit. Now, the lion, being as he is, the king of the jungle, first needs a reason. So, they tell the rabbit to go down to the gas station to buy a packet of Marlboro cigarettes. If the rabbit happens to buy light, he should be beaten up instead of buying red. If he buys red, he should be beaten up for not buying light. The lion really loves this idea and goes to the rabbit and says, go to the gas station. The rabbit then asks, do you want red or do you want light? The lion looks at the rabbit back to the fox back at the rabbit, and back at the lion. And the lion roars, where is your hat?
It sounds like you're just looking for any reason to throw people in prison.
Absolutely. I have an idea about this, but it's a little strange.
Well, I'm pretty sure that after this, nothing is going to sound too strange, so go ahead.
What they're going to do is they're going to put in prison all the dissidents that have a uploaded WhatsApp account. And anybody that's on that list gets thrown inside.
Is there any legal basis to this? I mean, does this stuff even exist?
Yeah, what if the dissidents didn't use WhatsApp?
Then anybody that has a WhatsApp account that's a relative will be thrown inside.
You know, I think they should just be thrown in by going around and asking people, where's your hat?
Okay, Harry, and then?
Militias run rampant through the streets. Martial law is declared, and the president passes unrelated laws.
Okay. So now he's the absolute power holder. Is this when the power poisoning begins?
Oh, precisely. And then, all of a sudden, isolation and economic crises start to arise.
Okay. What are you thinking for the ending, Harry?
I haven't really finalized a finale yet, Scott, but I'm working on it.
You know, a dictator staging a coup against himself isn't that bad of an idea. I mean, it's smart in theory.
I knew you were going to love it, Scott. That's why I saved the best part for last. The title of the film. Y'all ready? A coup of coffee. You see, throughout the entirety of the film, our dictator is asking his most personal aide for a cup of coffee because he cannot fall asleep. He's having all these restless nights. Can I get a cup of coffee, please? Send out the soldiers. Can I get a cup of coffee, please? Hold up the Brooklyn Bridge. What do you think about that, Scott? A coup of coffee, a reference to that.
This is the stupidest coup story I've ever heard. Harry, just because we're going to do a cheap job doesn't mean we could treat people like fools. No coups happen at prime time, okay? And you can't just use 2 tanks to block one side of the bridge and leave the other side wide open. You need tanks, more of them, and jets, and soldiers, like a whole lot of them. Okay, and if there really were a coup in a country, do you think a group of people could stop it just by shoving a bunch of t-shirts up tanks' pipes? You're dreaming. I want to also put it out there that A Coup of Coffee is a terrible title. I need to leave. My secretary will be in touch regarding your final payments. Take care.
You weren't gonna do that last move, Harry.
And with all of my optimism, what is a coup of coffee?
I don't know. Let's get a drink.
Well, I guess the best thing about being fired is, you get to have a drink in peace. All right. I'm thirsty for alcohol. And the only answer is a bar. I guess we could go to the liquor store.